Hi, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good, how are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, before we start, let me remind you that you did consent to record for audio and visual for supervisory purposes, which is strictly on me, not you as a client, to make sure I'm better as a counselor for you. The only time I'd have to give this up would be for confidentiality reasons, would be if it was summoned in court, if you threaten to hurt yourself or somebody else. Yeah, is that okay?
Yes.
Alrighty, because we got our consent to record. Alrighty, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am a 28-year-old. I'm originally from Puerto Rico,
Mm-hmm.
and then I moved to New York with my parents, my siblings, and my grandmother. And we've been here for a while now, actually. And yeah. Obviously I have
Yeah.
cerebral palsy.
Okay.
So that's been a bit of a challenge for me.
Mhm.
But I've been managing, I guess. So
Okay, okay. Tell me a bit more about your family, how you are with them. You said you came here with your mom,
mhm,
your
mhm,
dad, siblings,
mhm,
and grandma.
mhm.
How's that been?
It's been a little challenging. My mom, she's a bit overprotective, and I guess that could be due to my cerebral palsy. She
Mm-hmm.
wants to make sure that I'm okay and everything, but sometimes it just feels like I don't have any control over my life and my own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad is he's not really at home much just because he works a lot. And then when I do try to talk to him, it's like he's just emotionally unavailable. So I don't really have I really don't feel like I have support from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then my siblings, I have two older brothers
Mm-hmm.
and a younger sister. I'm not really close to my brothers like that. I mean, we talk because we're family, but
Yes.
I'm not really close to them like that. One of my brothers, though, he does have a substance abuse problem, so I kind of limit the exposure that I had to him. But I am close to my younger sister. We
Mm-hmm.
talk a lot. We're pretty close in age, and so she's been who I talk to the most, besides my
Mm-hmm.
mom and then my grandma. She was a major reason why I was able to overcome a lot of my emotions dealing with cerebral palsy. We had a really good relationship. She did pass away when I was 14, and that's been hard because, like I said, she was the main person who was there for me other than my sister. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sorry for your loss there.
thank
So you said you came here from Puerto Rico.
you.
How are you fitting in? How's that going? It's a new place.
Well, it's a lot different. Here, there's a lot of judgment and a lot of stares and a
Mhm.
lot of I just feel very uncomfortable here. Like I don't people are very quick to judge and quick to just exclude me from situations because of my disability.
Mhm.
But I feel like when I'm back home in Puerto Rico, it's not like that. I had went back to Puerto Rico with my family when I was 10,
Mhm.
and the experience was completely different than what it is here. Like when I was home, I just felt so free and I felt like I could be who I was and not have to worry
Mhm.
about anybody um, looking at me or judging me. I don't have to worry about the like side comments or the snippering because of my disability. Like I have to
Mhm.
worry about that here. Um, and I just felt like closer to my culture,
Mhm.
going back to my country.
Mhm.
It was, yeah, that was a good memory and a good moment for me.
That's good. I'm glad we have these happy moments during these things. You said mom was very overprotective of you.
Mhm.
Is that because of it seems like bullying that you were experiencing? Or
I was experiencing bullying when I
mm,
was a child,
mhm,
going through, elementary and middle school. So I guess that could be due to that could be why she was overprotective, but she also it's still going on now, even when I'm 28, I'm almost 30, and it's still going on now. So I guess it stemmed from that and it just kept going from there.
mhm,
I just feel like I don't have a sense of control. I don't have
mhm.
um control over my life. Like it's not my life that I'm living, like it's hers because I'm doing what she wants me to do.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about this lack of control you're feeling? What do you feel like you do have control of, and what do you feel like you don't have control of in your life?
I really don't feel like I have control over much. I mean, when I go to work, I mean, I have control over that because either I go or I don't. Um, but like really, that's honestly the only thing that I feel like I kind of have control over. But I feel like I also have anxiety, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I feel like I don't have control over work because sometimes my anxiety can keep me from going to work. But back to your question,
Yes.
I don't feel like I have control over much. Like she controls where I live, she'll control what I do for the day, she'll control the decisions that I make, she'll control literally everything down to what I eat. Like she controls it all. So it's just, yeah, it's hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're saying you feel you have this sense of anxiety about going to work, and that's why it prevents you from going to work and completing your tasks. Is it like a sense of doom? Where do you think this kind of worry comes from?
I honestly think it kind of started once my grandmother died. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like because she was my main support system, like once she passed away, it's like I feel like I didn't have like a good support system anymore. Like I do have my sister, but because I'm older than her, it's I can't really talk to her about a lot of things because she's still young. Um, but yeah, I feel like my anxiety came from that, dealing with my grandmother and also dealing with my mom. I just felt like I couldn't really stand up to her. I couldn't really
Mm-hmm.
make a stand for what I wanted. And then also from my dad, like I said, I don't have that emotional connection with him. So I just kind of get a little anxious around him because I never know like what he's feeling or how he's feeling. Um, and Socially, I just don't really. My mom kept us sheltered, me a little bit more just because of my disability. She
Mm-hmm.
kept me very sheltered, so I don't really have a lot of friends. So when I go out, I don't really interact with people socially.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of stay to myself and I get a little anxious when somebody will like come close to me or when somebody starts talking to me. I don't really know what to say.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I feel like that's very valid and understanding of how you grew up and how you're feeling to feel anxious because mom was so overprotective that it's kind of hard to step out on your own. And then with going to work, that's kind of you stepping out on your own essentially. So it's very valid in how you feel. It's very understanding.
Yeah, just I've been dealing with it for a while, so it gets kind of a lot to try and process by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you said you started to pull back once grandma had died. That was your main support system. Did you tend to self-isolate? You kind of backed up. Was there any feelings of like sadness coming in?
definitely sadness. I definitely self-isolated. I was just I felt very hopeless. Like I didn't have, because she was gone, like there was nothing, I felt like there was nothing left. Like there was no happy ending because she
Mm,
was. a part of my happiness.
Yeah, it's valid. It's hard for when we lose a loved one
Mhm.
and to sit and go through the grieving process and mourning how our relative was with us, now that they're in a better place and trying to come to terms with that.
Mhm. It's hard, especially as a child, or yeah, as a child, or a teenager.
Mhm.
It's still like you don't really fully grasp the understanding until they're not there when you need them.
Mhm. I can understand that.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm. How would you describe your life now as an adult? You're on your own. You said you go to work, but that kind of gives you some anxiety. How is it with friends? Do we have any solid friendships, solid relationships? How are we trying to rebuild that support system?
Right now, I don't really have a support system other than my sister. Um, I do, like I said, I do go to work.
Mhm.
I don't really have friends socially. I did have a relationship in college, but it didn't last that long because of my disability. I just felt like
Mhm.
um, I felt anxious around that because of, my disability, and he didn't have a disability, so it was
Mhm.
different. Um, and um, I do have a few friends at work that I socialize with, but they don't have cerebral palsy, so they really can't understand me fully. They can listen to what I'm saying, which is great, but
Yeah.
sometimes I want someone that can understand who I am and like the challenges that I have. And they just don't, but they do listen to me, and I when I talk to them, but I also just don't want to bombard them with my problems or like trauma dump on them
Mhm.
because everybody has a life of their own. So I kind of just stick to myself in that
Okay.
aspect.
Okay. From with your relationship, it sounds because your partner didn't have a disability, it kind of gave a fear of intimacy a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Because I had never been intimate with a man before or with anyone before because of
Mm-hmm.
my disability. So when the opportunity presented itself, I just kind of got very anxious, and I just left.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, alrighty. So a lot of your concerns, what would you say some of those would be of like for your platonic and romantic relationships with that? You said because you don't want to seem like a burden, you don't want to seem like you're trauma dumping on your friends. With your relationship, it was kind of like your disability and the fear of not being understood. What are your concerns about those? Like, how do you want to know what are your concerns about those?
I kind of just want to, I just feel like I don't have anybody to talk to really.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just want to get to a space where I'm able to um, voice my concerns with the people who care about me and not like
Mm-hmm.
feel any negativity or feel any burden within myself when I
Mm-hmm.
am talking to them.
That's a nice goal. Mhm. How would you feel with trying to generalize that to mom and family?
Um, I feel like it'll be a little bit harder with my mom just because she's very stuck in her ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my brothers, I mean, they may be supportive, but again, one of them still has a substance abuse problem, so I don't think it'll go over as well as I would want it to.
Of course.
And then my other brother, um, he has his own family and
Mhm.
wife and all that. So I don't know how devoted he'll be to like having that type of conversation.
Okay, okay. So we'll start small with friends and family. Hearing some of your signs and symptoms, I want to go over an assessment with you, if we can. So we have what is called the Beck Anxiety Inventory. So this is a scale of self-reporting and self-measuring about anxiety levels. You had mentioned several times how you're feeling very anxious, out of control, just worried. So I wanted to give you this to see if it works. Do you know how long you've been feeling these symptoms? Would you say over like the past 2 weeks or so?
They became very prominent the last 2 weeks, but they've been going on for a couple of years now.
Okay, okay. Will this be on and off a couple of years or just like a consistent underfeeling?
Um, probably probably on and off.
Mhm.
It's very uh situation specific.
Okay. So I'd like to give you this first. It's about 21 questions and it's a scale. So you'll see all the questions are scored where it says zero as not at all. One would be mildly, but it didn't bother me much. Moderately, it wasn't pleasant at times would be number two. And then three is severely, it bothered me a lot. So we can calculate the score by adding up all of your things and then talking about it some more and then figuring out some other things that we can do once we assess what's going on.
All right.
And take your time. This is not rushed in the slightest. Here is a pen.
Thank you.
Alrighty, you finished?
Yes.
Alrighty, let me just get a chance to score this real quick. Alrighty then. So I've scored it. You've scored above 36. So that would say it's a potential concern levels for anxiety. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Because I've been dealing with anxiety since I was 14,
Mhm.
and it's been off and on. And anytime like I'm in a situation that I'm not used to, then my anxiety kind of gets worse, and it just gets worse over time. So yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Okay, okay. It's good that you kind of suspected it. You came and got tested about it, and that's the first step, is the self-awareness of it. How do you feel with what do you believe your next step moving forward is now that you know?
Um, I honestly just want to get to a point where I can function on a regular basis. I now it's like I don't really, well, like I mentioned, I just don't really
Mm-hmm.
have control over things. I my work gets affected because of my anxiety. Sleep gets affected. If
Mm-hmm.
I can't sleep, then I can't go to work.
Mm-hmm.
I get behind on assignments
Of course.
or work related assignments. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think I just want to get to a point where I can function.
Okay, so that can be our big goal of getting to a point of where you can function. What does that look like? Yeah, turning in assignments on time.
Um, Being able to function is like just, yeah, being able to turn in assignments, being able to like get my sleep schedule together,
Mm-hmm.
being able to get in a space where I can, if I don't want to talk to people, then I can figure out ways that I can I get my feelings out instead of keeping them in.
Mm-hmm.
And also talking to my family or like trying to mend our relationship and make it a little bit better than it used to be when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger.
Okay, okay. That can be our big goal of learning to communicate effectively, functioning, like turning in our assignments, trying to speak, knowing, placing those boundaries of I'm feeling anxious right now. What can I kind of do to stop that?
Hmm.
Or at least reduce it. Alrighty, alrighty. What's something small for you that you want to start with? What's a small thing?
Um, I guess my sleep schedule.
Okay, what does that look like currently? What does that look like currently?
Right now, whenever I'm anxious, I don't really get sleep like that. I'm just normally up majority of the night, just thinking,
Mm-hmm.
or like pacing. Um, like I can lay in the bed, but I won't really be asleep. I'll just be
Mm-hmm.
up, mind racing.
Mm-hmm. So your body rests and your mind's still actively running.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Do you also have any feelings of like hopelessness, maybe a change in appetite?
I sometimes I do have a feeling of hopelessness just because I feel like this has been my sleep schedule for so long that I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like like that's just what it's gonna be. Um, my appetite does get affected sometimes. The more I'm up, then um, like the more I just don't want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Or the more my mind races, I just don't want to eat because I'm just too anxious to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely my appetite.
Okay. You know how long that's been going on? Would you say it's like 2 weeks? Did it kick up?
Yeah, probably within the last 2 weeks, I had this big work assignment due,
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt really anxious about it. So it kept me up for most nights, and I wasn't really eating like I was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I probably only ate like a couple of times per week. Um, but yeah, probably the last 2 weeks.
Okay, okay. I'd like to confirm this because you also talked about how you have had trouble like speaking and being around people and trying to talk. And I want you to take another assessment and see how well that goes. See if we can find something else. Because you mentioned how you're not surprised the anxiety's there, that something else could be there. So let's double check and make sure and see how we're going. We've talked about some goals for the anxiety, so let's see if we can talk about more goals as we figure out more what's going on.
Oh,
Alrighty then. So this is the GAD-7 for anxiety as well. You can fill it out over the last 2 weeks. How much have you felt these problems? 0 being not at all, 1 being several days, 2 being more than half the days, and then 3 is nearly every day in the last 2 weeks. Any questions, comments, concerns?
no.
All right then. And then here's a pen.
Thanks.
Alrighty then. Let's score this, see what we have. Well, yep, so we have one more question at the bottom just to make sure. Awesome. Awesome. So it said that you answered very difficult. This test was also another anxiety test, just to confirm what we already know. So with the score, you have 17, which would land you in the severe anxiety range. And then because you also checked the box of how difficult does it make you to go to work and socialize with people, I feel like something we also have underlying with our general anxiety disorder would also be social anxiety.
Mhm.
So how do we feel hearing all of this going on?
Yeah, I definitely think social anxiety is present because I don't know, people just, especially strangers, it's just kind of hard to um, form words just to even talk to them and like even try to build relationships or connections at work is kind of hard, even though I see these people every day.
Mhm.
Still kind of hard just because I don't normally talk to people. I just kind of stay in my office and just work if I can. But yeah, like I said before, like my anxiety has been off and on for a couple of years now, so
Mhm.
it has gotten a lot worse recently. So
Mhm. Let's talk about your anxiety and trying to come up with a plan for that. So you said something small. Well, our big goal, let's start big and we go small. Our big goal is just effectively communicating and talking to people and just trying to find different coping mechanisms for our anxiety. What are some of your favorite things and hobbies and comfort items?
um, I like to read
Mhm.
and I like to I like to do like arts and crafts or like painting or drawing.
Mhm.
Um, I like music also.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's all I can think of right now.
Okay, that's good. Those are a lot of interesting things you like to do. What do you think about when you're starting to feel anxious and you're at home or at work? Maybe if you have like a little sticky notepad of doing a couple of like doodles to kind of get your mind off of what might be triggering your anxiety.
Um, I think I think it could help.
Mhm.
Um, I like I need like a book
Mhm.
so I can draw
Okay.
a lot
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
I'm pretty anxious majority of the day. So I feel
Mhm.
like I would need like a lot of pages to
Of course, like a coloring book or just a blank journal,
yeah.
something. Yeah, that sounds perfectly doable. Sounds perfectly fine. For something small, you just kind of want to figure out ways to handle your anxiety and your social anxiety. How do we feel about maybe working? Well, you say you work in an office. Is that like a
Mhm.
cubicle setting or like with the door closed kind of office? Or
With the door closed.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the door closed.
Maybe we can work on keeping the door open.
Yeah, yeah, I guess that'll warrant people to
Yeah.
come in and talk.
Mhm. Maybe just a quick hi. We don't gotta start with the full conversation, just a quick hi.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, because full conversation is kind of scares me a little bit, but
Mhm.
I can say hi.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds doable.
that sounds doable.
Mhm.
That's good. That's good. And then another thing you mentioned, because I want to make sure I'm touching on everything with the anxiety relations of the kind of fear of intimacy, kind of being around people that don't have your disability and trying to get them to understand. What do you think of a support group? Other
Um,
people with different disabilities?
um, I don't know. I feel like right now,
Mm-hmm.
it might be a little difficult to be around a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
new people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but down the line, that may be something that I would consider.
Okay, okay. We can make that a future goal, but you're open to it, and that's good. That's
Hmm.
nice that you're trying to rebuild your support system.
Yes.
Because we have our social anxiety of our door opening, figuring out this, have or in the moment when you're feeling your anxiety kind of rise, you're feeling that panicky feeling, what is it that you do in those moments?
Um, I typically just like if I'm at work,
Mm-hmm.
then well the door's already closed, so I kind of just like turn the lights off,
Mm-hmm.
close the blinds, and just sit in darkness until
Mm-hmm.
I feel up to like turn the lights on again.
Yeah.
If I'm home, then I'll just um sometimes I'll like just turn on the TV just so I can hear noise
Mm-hmm.
to block out my thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
or like I'll turn on music
Mm-hmm.
to also like block out my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I'm like around my family, I'll kind of just isolate myself and just
Mm-hmm.
like go in another room where like nobody can find me and just sitting there with the lights off and stuff
Mm-hmm.
until I'm okay to come out and be around people again.
Yeah. Okay, okay. Let's come up with a plan to kind of help when you might not be able to do these things. So there is a method called the 333 method. It's where you find three things you can see, three things you can hear, and then three things you might be able to like touch or lift or see. Do you think that'd be something doable? Because say if you're like out in public, what's that kind of look like? Do you think you'd be able to accomplish the 333 method?
Um, Probably not like right in the beginning when I'm
Mhm.
first having anxiety.
Mhm.
But once I'm like calmed down, then I feel like I could, that's something that I could do, like achieve.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think, yeah, not in the beginning, but
Mhm.
once the stress and anxiety has calmed down, then yeah.
Mhm. Awesome. Okay. If you give that achievable, we'll probably go from here identifying what kind of brings on those triggers before we can apply that method. But it sounds doable to you. It's something you're comfortable with.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's good. As for your family, of being around them, you mentioned one of your brothers has a abuse, a substance use disorder.
Hmm.
how would you go about navigating that and still kind of keeping your peace?
Um, well, right now, I just kind of stay to myself.
Mhm.
Like um, I don't even try to have like a lot of conversation with him,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Like, sometimes I feel like conversation won't be effective until he gets his problem, like until he gets his substance abuse
Mhm.
handled. But I think maybe we could like talk about memories of our grandmother or
Mhm.
share on like the fond memories that we had when we were kids.
Mhm.
Focus on that to like open communication
Mhm.
up between the two of us.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Okay, that's good. We have a lot of goals out here for us. Which do you want to start with first? Do you want to start with family? Do you want to start with just social settings? Do you want to start with friends? Or do you want to start with work?
Um, Probably work.
Okay. That's us leaving the door open, our highs, our good mornings, maybe stash a coloring book in our desk.
Yeah, I think yeah, just because work is a major part of
Mm.
my life as an adult, I feel like that's gonna be the start of something new, something different. Um, and yeah, I think I'd rather start with work first.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Do you have any upcoming projects, something that might trigger this, bring this out?
Um, I do have a I do have a journal that I have to write for this
Mhm.
big the New York Times.
Yes.
And that's coming up at the end of the month. So I do have that to work on, which could possibly bring on some anxiety just because
Mhm.
of the deadline. And then sometimes I worry about like the quality of my work
Mhm.
and how other people will perceive my work,
Mhm.
which typically brings on anxiety.
Yeah. Alrighty, alrighty. So would you say this project is due in the next 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, yeah, in about 2.5 weeks.
Okay, okay. So over the next 2.5 weeks, we can keep a journal of what at work kind of triggers our anxiety. We are going to practice of opening our door and just see where it takes us. Make sure we're writing out at work, doing this kind of thing, just being open, I would say would be our word for this session, of being open. How does that sound? How does it feel?
It sounds doable.
Mhm.
Kind of nervous about it, but I do want to see change within my life. I know
Mhm.
it has to start with me, so I am gonna try. But yeah, I am kind of nervous about the outcome, or like if people want to have conversation, I'm
Mhm.
nervous about that.
Mhm. It's okay to be nervous because, like you said, you want the change to be different. So now that you know, we can put into practice and we can try. So we are in heading towards the last 15 minutes of session. Let's kind of talk about what we've, I guess, talked about and what we want to be different, what we want to change, just hearing out the plan.
Okay.
So our big goal, we figured out we have our general anxiety disorder and our social anxiety disorder. And we're going to start with our general anxiety disorder of And we're gonna start with it at the workplace and then seeing how that kind of bleeds over into everything else. We were okay with keeping the door open, uh, buying a coloring book, maybe getting like making it pretty, keeping a little certain drawer for it, like a basket for it, some color pencils, crayons, just whatever we choose to draw. As you say, you're very artsy. And then keeping a separate journal of just what are our triggers at work? Is it this big project? Is it coworkers, deadlines, whatever it might be? You think we can do that with this upcoming project you have? That's about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, I think it'll be good to like apply it to this new project just so I
Mhm,
can really pinpoint like what starts my anxiety
mhm,
and my social anxiety.
mhm,
And so I can also see like how often it happens. And then so that way we can like come up with a plan
mhm.
for the frequency of
Yeah.
each.
All right. Okay. Now that you kind of know you have a plan, you kind of have some comfort things, you know where you're starting. How do you feel about all of this? Is this rewarding? Is it refreshing? Do you feel excited?
It is rewarding because like I said, I do want to see change. Like I've been dealing with anxiety for a long time. So um it's good to feel like I have like an outlet other than keeping it in.
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm so used to keeping it in, it just kind of also feels a little nerve-wracking
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know the outcome. Like I don't know how I'm gonna react in the situation. So it kind of leaves my mind to wander a little bit.
Hmm. That's okay. That fear of the unknown and that anxiety, as we now know, is definitely warranted. Like I understand it. It's there. For you, I'm so glad that you feel rewarding, that you have a starting point and you acknowledge that this is what you want to do, and you feel like you're achieving your goals by coming here. So that's a great thing.
Yeah, I feel like this was the first step into change that I've been wanting for a long time, but I just felt like I couldn't um reach the change.
Mhm,
But now it's like I can reach it. It does seem far away, but
mhm.
it feels like I can still reach it.
Okay, far away but not impossible.
Right. Yes.
That's good. That's good. I'm happy that you are going through this. I want to let you know very now that how strong you are for taking these first steps and for coming here, for wanting to get better. That takes a lot of strength. And that I look forward to seeing how you are on your journey.
Yeah. I'm excited, but
Mhm.
I'm hopeful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's great. That's great. Let's talk a little bit about the next step after opening our door. What else seems doable after that for you?
Um, I guess like starting conversation with a couple people.
Okay. Do you have a coworker in mind?
Mm, not really.
Okay.
Um, yeah, not really. We're all on the same like row, I guess you can say. We're all on the
Okay.
same hallway.
Mm-hmm.
All on the same hallway. So, I don't know, like, and I'm at the end of the hallway, so I have to
Mm-hmm.
pass by my office to get to their office. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have one in particular,
Okay.
but yeah, maybe I can talk to like a couple of them.
Okay. Let's keep that in mind. Just a little bug in our ear of when we meet next of, I noticed when I kept my door open, this one coworker kept walking by and saying hi to me. I'll start there. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I'll try to remember that as I see or notice people walking by my door.
That's good, that's good. So, for sessions, would you like to continue this daily? Would this be weekly for you?
I think
Weekly?
weekly would be the best. Just,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I think weekly for right now would be the best
Okay.
since I do have
Mhm.
a work coming up.
Yeah, once a week, twice a week?
Probably just once a week.
Once a week?
Mhm.
Okay, that sounds good. Alrighty, well, I look forward to seeing you next time, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yes, thank you. You too.
Thank you.